What's up, people? It's your boy, the Badwolf. Woo, woo. The madman himself. What's going on, guys? So I want you guys to check out this little bit of information we got coming up. Let me fix my shirt. There we go. That was in a clip that came across my attention on Facebook. Thought it was kind of interesting. All right. But before we get to that, we are at 46,000. So if you have not subscribed, help us get the push over 50,000. We are right there. So close. Yet so far. All right. So don't forget to hit that bell, like, subscribe if you want to be in the loop on everything that we do here. Remember, everything here is education and entertainment from your favorite non-belligerent, non-combatant, treated with the United States, private sector, natural being, born natural, foreign national. All right. So as your favorite non-resident of the U.S. corporation, I want to show you guys, let's see, which we start off with first. Which one, that or that? You know what? Let's go to sharing the screen and let me start you off with what I think was interesting. All right. So let me cue up the video. I don't know. Maybe you guys won't think this is that interesting, but I do. All right, check this out. Now listen to what she's saying. So this is United States attorney. Okay, you know, a real judicial attorney. Okay, licensed by the government, official, de jure. Erica McDonald. Now this is back when they were talking about the Floyd stuff, but catch this part that she said in this speech. Y'all ready? Let's get going.
And will continue to do so. The federal investigation in this case will determine whether the actions the former Minneapolis police officers took violated any federal criminal laws, to include any civil rights violations. Federal civil rights criminal cases have categories, and one is called under color of law. In other words, if an officer, whether it be federal, state, local, or tribal, is acting under their authority and asserts or invokes the power bestowed upon them to deprive any person of any right or privilege protected by the Constitution or the law of the United States, that is a violation of federal criminal law. It must be proven that the subject took action or did not take action when he or she knew that was wrong and chose to do it anyway. As with all matters, the investigation in this case will be comprehensive and will be conducted with the highest integrity as the community would expect. For those that aren't aware of my background.
Okay, so no, we're gonna play this again. We're gonna go back, and I'm gonna comments. Okay, go ahead, Erica. Speak that America truth right there, girl.
Determine whether the actions the former Minneapolis police officers took violated any federal criminal laws.
So for all those people who think that the state and these police officers, now we know that they are considered to be a public trustee. If you go all up the legal chain, they're considered foreign, but they're operating with American information or words that sound, names that sound American. There's a jurisdictional thing going on here, but she's saying we have the authority. We supersede them. Your states are not sovereign. Okay? They have the authority. The Supreme Court, the federal court, the United States Attorney General, they got the power. I got the power. Okay? Let's go on.
To include any civil rights violations.
any civil rights violations. Your rights through the Bill of Rights and the Constitution are protected as Americans, nationals of the United States, state citizens. In the private sector, when you go out, you are not only, see, they might want you to think that you are a juridical person and that you're just that legal entity that the state gave you, the name, you're using it. Yeah, you're a member of them, but you're also still a constitutional citizen protected by constitutional law. In the private sector, let's go on.
Federal civil rights, criminal cases.
Federal civil rights and criminal cases. When they get involved, they're saying, hey, you guys in your little private sectors down in your states are doing too much. You damaged, hurt, killed, or deprived somebody who's a private person still yet of their rights. Right to travel, right to do these things, right to not be impeded in your interstate commerce, your normal life in the private. And sometimes in the public, but let's go on.
Have categories, and one is called under color of law.
Color of law. Okay. Now, why would she bring that up? Because we know that color of law means you are pretending to be something that you are not. And then you deprived somebody. Now, they don't get involved in things all the time. Well, let me say this correctly. They actually get involved in things all the time when you bring it to them, or it makes national headlines. They can't be there for every single one of your cases unless you bring it to them. So by her saying color of law, that means she's referring to the fact that the police departments, or at least in this particular case, those officers were committing color of law. They were pretending to be judicial officers. Now, let's break this down for 2 seconds. A police officer has the right to be a police officer, but they can only govern over their own people who are 14th Amendment U.S. citizens with the all caps name. But you still have a private side that they cannot. So when you're out there doing your business, you're operating as two things, but they only want to see your U.S. citizen side. Okay, good. But that doesn't mean you can deny me on my private side, because on my private side, we are your boss. You can not deny me of my constitutional rights. Just because I have your T-shirt on for the state of whatever, or the whatever, you can't do that, because those police agencies receive federal funding and support and those things. So you are involved with them. So even more so, you're underneath their jurisdiction. That's why they are able to always step in. I mean, nearly almost 100% of the time, if they want to. Color of law, she's saying here that they did not have the ability to be judge, jury, and executioner. You denied him of his due process. You're pretending to be something. Now, they're not pretending to be cops. Okay, not at all. I've got friends and family who are cops. That's not, and so I know these things. They're not pretending. They are cops, but they're working for an agency that only has jurisdiction over their people. But you having also a private side, you cannot deny somebody their freedoms. You did not, you killed them. You did these things. You damaged them before they even have a right to be proven for anything. Same thing for cops out there trying to steal your license plate as a little trophy from people doing right to travel, or not letting somebody talk to a commanding officer, pulling you over by itself when you're doing right to travel with a private plate or a foreign plate or whatever, is a violation of not only state but federal law. Now, the one mistake a lot of people out there were making is they weren't putting their vehicle into a trust and then updating the DMV with that information to say it's now owned by the trust. We have to be honest here on this channel. We always will be. So let's keep it real. But she's saying, like, some of these judges on the lower levels, you're pretending to be what the federal court and the Supreme Court are, which is our licensed federal judges who have judicial capacity. The lower ones can, yes, they can judge over you if you agree to it and you're not using their U.S. citizen stuff. Otherwise, they don't have full master jurisdiction over you. Slavery has been outlawed. So they were doing color of law. If you know what it is, and if you're operating in your private capacity and you don't want to be in their jurisdiction. If China came over here and opened up police stations and they start grabbing Americans, they can't do that. And even if I have a Chinese shirt on and I have a Chinese ID and I'm considered one of them, they can kind of rough me up a little bit and do some things. But the United States attorney is going to say, this is our land. You cannot do whatever you want to our people. Even if they don't know their rights, we know their rights. All right?
In other words, if an officer, whether it be federal, state, local, or tribal, is acting.
So they threw themselves in there. They said, we don't care if it's federal, state, local, any of them.
Acting under their authority.
Acting under their authority.
And asserts or invokes the power bestowed upon them to deprive any person of any right or privilege.
Any person of their rights. Go ahead, Erica. Get them. Get them, girl.
Protected by the Constitution.
Protected by the Constitution. Constitutional law supersedes all of that. Know your rights. Let's go.
Law of the United States. That is a violation of federal criminal law.
It is a violation for them to do these things under federal criminal law. Lawsuit, lawsuit, lawsuit. File a complaint with the Department of Justice, the FBI, the Attorney General. Get them.
It must be proven that the subject took action or did not take action when he or she knew that was wrong and chose to do it anyway.
So they're saying, if you did something and you knew it was wrong, okay, now mind you, these cops are supposed to know the law, what they can and cannot do to private and to public people. Well, really, they only have jurisdiction over the public. But as a private person, if you're damaging somebody, depriving them of their rights, doing something criminal, then yeah, they can step in, but we can step in too. Citizen's arrest, constitutional arrest. You can't do these things. So that goes to show you that there are rogue bad cops, and a lot of them. Not all of them, but a handful. And once again, I'll say it. If you've got 100 cops and 20 are bad and the good ones don't report the bad or stand up for us, how many bad cops do you have? There you go. Okay. Back the blue, protect the blue, the secret. Keep my secrets when I do wrong. Okay. Well, just remember, you're gonna have to answer for that when you meet your maker one day.
As with all matters, the investigation in this case will be comprehensive and will be conducted with the highest integrity as the community would expect. For those that aren't aware of my background.
Okay. So we don't need to go into all her background, all that. We know who she is and, you know, whatever. So that I thought was very interesting. So now let's jump over to okay. Share the screen, if you know what I mean. All right. So here's where people should be suing and understanding what's going on. Department of Justice. Love the Department of Justice. Long live the Department of Justice. Thank you guys for your hard work. All right. Deprivation of rights under color of law. Section 240. Well, it should say 241 and 242. All right. It is a crime for a person acting under color of any law to willfully deprive a person of their right or privilege protected by the Constitution or laws of the United States. Okay. Persons acting under color of law within the meaning of this statute include police officers, prison guards, other law enforcement officials, judges, care providers, any of those people in the public providing a duty to us who are in these private membership associations, the juridical jurisdiction, statutory law, the states. If you deprive somebody of their constitutional rights, no matter how much of a Billy Bad Butt cop or judge or whatever else, if you deny somebody of their constitutional rights, but see, here's the problem. They do it every day. They do it every day in every town, every city right now. Somebody's being deprived of their rights because that person doesn't know their rights and they don't know that they need to file a complaint with the Department of Justice, the Attorney General, the district attorney, the chief judge in their area. File a complaint at the police station. Contact internal affairs. Whatever you got to do, you do it. But now, on behalf of those individuals, some are worse than others. I'm not going to go into the full ins and outs of all of it, but what we will say is that they're all professionally trained, so they are to know these things. Ignorance of the law is no excuse. They have the right to handle you in a certain way as one of their members, but because your private side, you also have a private sector side as a non-resident in the private, constitutional citizen, national of the United States, state citizen, to not have to deal with it. But you cannot enjoy the privilege of said things and expect them to jump in and save you because you agreed to it. So like with the Floyd scenario, he didn't even have a chance to agree to it or not to agree with it. And those cops knew what they were doing was wrong. Why? Because they were trained to know you cannot do what you did. All right. So that was an interesting piece that was brought up because I didn't see that and didn't hear and catch that part. So when I listened to it again, I was like, interesting. So that is it. Just a little piece on the color of law. Deprivation of rights, 241, 242. Talk to you guys later. Badwolf's over and out.